Hello everyone, let's solve Java 8 Stream API, all terminal and intermediate operation in an example. As per our last video, that was more on the theory side explaining the intermediate and terminal operation. In this video, we will cover most of the important terminal and intermediate operation. This is really a cool example and this is a real world example. So basically, if we have worked in any of bank or in any of the fintech industry, this example is a real use case where we have used this type. We used to use these type of methods or these type of logic in a real world application. If you have used any banking application, or if you use internet banking or any credit card, then this is one of the great use case for you to apply stream operation. And no one, as I said, right, you could trust me that no matter whichever company or whichever bank you select, these are the functionality which they have used in their code. Now let's understand what we have written in our code. So basically here we have created two objects. One is transaction object, another is account object. So in any bank transaction, we will be having, definitely user will be having an account, and then whatever money transaction you are making in your account, through your account, those information is tracked, right? Suppose when you are buying anything on Amazon, or when you are eating out, or when you are taking any money from ATM, or when you are doing any transfer. So on this credit card companies like Visa, MasterCard, and all banking transaction, all those things rely on these logics. How Java 8 Stream API help in making these logic in less line of code? That's the power of Stream API. So here we have created two objects. One is transaction, another is account. We have added few transaction in our transaction object, which is an array list, and we have added some user in our account object. Now let's understand, if in an interview also, or if suppose, because in interview, right, if they are hiring position for in a banking industry, or if any of fintech industry, this application is this use case is mainly on the fintech side, and this is the biggest industry in the whole ecosystem of tech industry, I would say, or even outside tech industry, and this is the future. And even seeing the current situation, banks will never go, insurance companies will never go, and financial institution will never go. So these logics will help you understand better, and this is something which usually people don't cover. This is real world example. People don't teach you what we actually do in how these things work. Means if you have experience in this industry, then you might aware of it, but if you are new to this will be a little different, and this will be great experience for you. Anyhow, we will move to understand. So basically we have two objects. One is transaction, another is account, and we are creating, if you have watched my earlier video, if not, you could go and watch my earlier video in regarding basically terminal and intermediate operations, and even Stream API. So basically here, if you see that the objective of this Stream API is to get the total number of money deposited into my bank account. How I'm going to find it? If you need to do in old way, I will not going to go in much detail in terms of how we could do this in old way, but for now you understand is that it is a little complicated. With Java 8 Stream API, it's really simple. So we have our transaction objects. How we are going to calculate? Very concept, right? We need to go and find out that who deposited money in our bank account. So you could do cash transfer, or someone can deposit via online transfer. There are multiple ways. There are a lot of use case which can be covered in designing a full-fledged fintech application, but for now we will only consider a very basic level of use case. But this is also really helpful for you if you don't know these things. So now if you see, right, that we need to find the number of money deposit in my bank account. How I'm going to do it? So I will create a stream pipeline on my transaction object, and then I'm going to filter out that what is the type of my transaction. So if you could see, right, in my transaction object we have two types. One is deposit, another is withdrawal. There can be many more, but for now we'll consider these two. So we have deposit and we have withdrawal. So here we are creating a stream pipeline on our transaction object, and then we are filtering based on a condition where my transaction type is deposit. So once we get that deposit, we will map that information with the get amount and we will then submit. So here we are using two main operations. One is filter, another is map, and then we have sum. So we have a stream of intermediate and terminal operation here to calculate the sum of the transaction deposited in my bank account. It's really simple. Usually people show that A plus B and then all of this stuff, but how actually this will be used in real world example, this is what it is. I hope there is no question. If you have any question, you could put in comment section. Now moving on to similar thing, and then we need to find number of withdrawals. So same approach, we need to filter and we need to use the same logic which we had applied in our finding out total deposit. If you could see, right, transaction, we open a stream pipeline, we filter it out based on our transaction type is withdrawal. Here we are using different use case. We can also sum it and see that how much money has been taken out from our bank. But if you could see, right, we are just here using different operation, which is count, which will tell us that what are the number of transactions which is done withdrawal. Here if you could see, right, you could also make many use cases. So here we are sort of filtering that or maybe counting that how many withdrawal happened. Same goes for here. We can also find out that how many times people are depositing money in our report, and based on these two use cases, right, you will understand. Now for example, right, you're definitely using this type of logic in your code, but if you need to build an application which will, like for example, if you have used those nowadays new banking application, right, they're having cool dashboard which they're giving you that, okay, this is my transaction, this is the graph and all those things. In the backend, these are the code which are running behind, and people like us are writing those code. Okay, moving ahead. Now this is suppose one of the use case where we need to find for a specific user. For example, when you log in your bank account and using a mobile app or internet banking or some third-party application, you log in with your identity, and then you will see your details. You will not see other details, right? So you need, technically on the backend, you are not only passing your username but other information as well, security related and all those things. But here we are, for example, just consider a use case that you are passing a username who make a transaction, and he wanted to see, right, that what all information do I have. So this is more like a where clause in a database. If you don't even know what database or SQL is, we will discuss maybe separately, but for now just consider is that this is a search query. Search query, like for example, everyone use Google, right? You type anything in Google and it will give you a response. Now here the similar thing is working behind. We are passing a username called James Bond, and then we will be getting the transaction made by that particular user. Here we could pass any name, any user who has made any transaction, either it is deposit or either it is withdrawal. Here also we are using same operation, which is a filter. You basically opening a stream pipeline in our transaction operation, then filtering it out. What is the filter criteria? Get user, the use dot equals James Bond, and then collect that those things into two lists. Now, if you have watched my earlier video, you will understand why this warning is coming here and why I have commented this code. I will not uncomment and explain you this because I have explained in my earlier video that how we can optimize our code. Moving to our next stream pipeline, which is also similar thing. See, the reason what we are trying to show here is, right, in every stream we have opened in here, right, we are doing something different and we are utilizing different use case. I don't want to write code here and waste your time. Basically, it is, I believe it is faster for you to just understand that how these things work, so that I just type it and it takes a lot longer for you to even wait that I am writing the code. So I rather believe if it is very complicated topic, I will definitely write a code in front of you. But here right now I will explain you so that you will understand that what all it is a faster in short basically. Okay, sorry, moving ahead. Now this is the same logic where we need to find the email address of that particular user. So now when you are working in a big bank or when you're working in any of the fintech company, right, it's not only that you're working within the bank, there may be some compliance you need to make, or maybe you're integrating with some other system or some other client. So how are you going to provide the information to them if they need it? So now just elaborate this architecture, and now we need to have a REST API. And in that REST API, one of my, suppose another bank is asking, right, okay, hey bank, can you give me the email address of these particular users? So now that bank think, how can I provide those information? So now you will write a REST API, and then when the bank A call your REST API and passing information and need an email address of James Bond, and then as a bank you will expose a REST API, and then at the backend, because your information is saved in database, which is mainly in those big companies or big banks in core system, and then you have to write this type of code. Before stream, it is a lot more complicated, and that's why this is one of the everyone favorite topic in an interview. And even if you are working, and I have seen that many people still don't use many, even big company or a smaller company, when I do code review, right, I still see that many developers are still not aware of using these operation efficiently. Anyhow, moving ahead. So if you see here, right, we are passing James Bond, and here what we are doing, same approach, filter using map, then collecting into a list. Now if you see the difference, right, that here we are passing get user and we are just getting our dot equal, sorry, we are getting our transaction made by James Bond. Here we are getting the email address. So now here if you see, right, we have not used map operations, but here we are using map operation because we need more information. So if you watch this video few more times to how things has been written in this code, I believe you will become much more efficient developer, and that's what future need. We want to be much more efficient, and even if you know these information and you could tell in an interview, right, no one can stop you. Okay, moving forward, now we need to find unique user. Unique user means, suppose I could make 20 transactions in a day. Same user can have 20 transactions. He deposit, he withdraw, he transfer. Then at the end of the day, I need to go and find out that how many means on a daily basis, that how many transaction is happening in my banks, so that I can plan my future infrastructure sizing. That is these things come in picture when you're working in an industry like this. It's a constant improvement, it's a constant tracking of information. So here we are just getting created same thing. We are using our transaction object, opening our stream pipeline, then mapping the information, get user, getting this thing. This is also predefined operation, and then collecting those information to list. Okay, there is one more way of getting this thing. This is how to say, this is a little more like interviewer can ask that, can you do this thing in another way? See, everything can be done in some different way, but moreover the logic remains the same. But this thing is a little more interviewer can play around with you, right? Okay, to find, whenever it comes to find a unique thing in any of the array list or list, right, every time an interviewer or any smart person will ask you, can you use it in a different way? What I'm trying to say here is, right, if you guess it, if you can guess it what I'm talking about, I hope you'll understand. Anyhow, I will tell you what you could do. You can also use this information and map this information into a set. So set will automatically will remove those duplicate information, and then you will be having a unique set of username. Okay, there are another sort of, not pros and cons, but there are more on technical detail, that whether the insertion order is maintained or not. I will not go in detail, but for now you just consider that you could use a set collection to find the uniqueness of the user. Now our last stream object, what we are doing. So here we are it's just little different than our all the previous stream we have created. The reason it is different, right, here what we are doing actually, here we have opened a stream object and we have a method called concatenate. So we are concatenating our transaction stream and account stream and then collecting together into a list. So we have two objects. We have converted those two objects in a stream, and then we have create a single object. Understand, right? We have one object, we have another object, and we have combined based. Here we are not using any special like for example primary key or how to say a one-to-one mapping stuff, but we have just simply clubbed these two in a single list object. Now I'm going to run this and then I will explain you the output so that you will also understand that okay, this is working. Okay, now if you see, this is the exact information which in any, if you're building these APIs, or if you're building writing this logic, right, this information definitely needed in any of FinTech application. How much money is deposited in my bank account? Okay, so based on that stream we have done it. Okay, now number of withdrawal made. So we are counting that how many withdrawal has been made, 1 or 2. Okay, good one. So we have 2. Now what are the transactions made by a specific user? Now we are finding, right, that what transaction is made by this user. So now we are also telling, okay, transaction user James Bond, amount 5,000 USD, and he has deposited this money. Now you have written a REST API to another bank A has asked you, they are passing the username, and you're sending him the email address of that specific user which you are passing. Now this unique user which we just now talk about, that we can also use set. So if you see, right, it is printing all the username with the uniqueness. Now as I mentioned, right, that this the reason why I've used this, right, because I don't want to make it a more longer video. Basically what you need to understand here is that this is moreover a inversion of flat map. In flat map we do the other way, we flatten our list, but here it is the other way around, we are combining both our lists. Anyhow, now we will just do one small change and we will show you that how this information will change. If I add one more transaction with James Bond name, you will notice, right, that this James Bond is only appearing one time, it is not appearing 2 times, and my number of withdrawal limit is 2, where I'm adding one more withdrawal limit with James Bond. So we will also see that for that specific user James Bond, we only have one transaction which is deposit. Now if you run this code again, we will say that data change. Now data change, we have now 3 withdrawals, sorry, 1, 2, 3. Bond has made 2 transactions, one is deposit and another is withdrawal. And in the unique user section output, sorry, we have James Bond only one time. And then in this combined list we have the entire list of transaction and the number of user. So that's all for now. I hope if you like it, you could like this video.